Hi, my name is Gelen, and we are here at the NYT Cooking Studio Kitchen to make a beautiful honey, peaches, and cream pudding. So this dish was inspired by a massive amount of peaches that I had on my counter one day, and by the structure of a classic banana pudding. We have beautiful layers of whipped cream, macerated peaches, and vanilla custard that's there to hold everything together. It's one of those things that looks very impressive and it feels complicated at a first glance. If you can cut a peach, cover it in honey, and whip some heavy cream, I think you're pretty much qualified to make this. Let's begin. First, we're gonna select the peaches. Any size will do the job because we're gonna cut these and mix them together. The medium size in the recipe is just like a reference for the numbers. The recipe uses yellow peaches just because of their color. They're really gonna contrast the white cream and the light custard much better. You wanna use a nice ripe peach for this because we are counting on a lot of those juices. So you're gonna be able to tell its ripeness by the firmness. You want a soft peach for this. If you gently press the peach, you'll be able to dent it a little bit versus a firm one that takes a lot more pressure and able to do that. It's kind of like picking an avocado. We're gonna slice the peach, kind of just rotate it, just cuts itself basically. And then we'll see if this peach is as ripe as I thought. The flesh is nice and jammy on the inside and you're able to pull out the pit. Oh yeah, you see those juices coming out? I feel like that's a nice indicator of ripeness. I like to slice this into about 3 wedges and each wedge in half. You don't want a small chunk for this. Pretty good size here. And what you're gonna do at the beginning of the recipe is save some because we're gonna use them as a garnish for the final dessert. So any smaller sized peaches are gonna work. And we're not slicing the small peaches for garnish now because we don't want to oxidize them. I do think the smell is such a good indicator of ripeness. As I slice through these, the aroma just fills up this whole room. Just a little bit of salt in a dessert goes a long way because it just accentuates the flavor of everything. We have some vanilla. The lemon just really accentuates their sweetness. We have some freshly ground cardamom. We also have some honey here instead of sugar, and there's a floral character about this. And to really tap into those floral notes, orange blossom water, which is optional if you can get your hands on this. I would say at a specialty store, you'd be able to find this. As I'm stirring the peaches, I can already feel those juices starting to come out. See how they're all coated in this glossy mixture? We're gonna set these aside because we want those juices to gather on the bottom because we are gonna use them in the dish. For the pudding part of this recipe, use instant pudding. You don't have to simmer it and boil it and do all the fun stuff. Add it to a bowl. We're gonna add some vanilla, a little bit more honey, a little bit of salt, and then we have some whole milk. This should make things super rich and creamy. And now we're gonna give this a quick whisk. I'm just looking to break off any lumps in there, and I'm just looking for a smooth mixture. Cover this and just set it aside in the fridge. The pudding is gonna go from this silky liquid consistency to more of a custard. For the next part of the pudding layer, we're gonna have to whip some heavy cream. Just add it to a mixer in the most awkward way that you possibly can. So we're just gonna start on low speed here. All I'm looking for is stiff peaks here because you want the texture to be able to hold the weight of the peaches so it doesn't just all turn into a big slush. The whisk is starting to leave a trace in the whipped cream, which is a good indicator that you're reaching the soft peak stage. Let's check that out real quick. Yeah, that's still pretty soft. So I think that's pretty much it. As you can see, we got some nice stiff peaks. The whipped cream just sits on the whisk. We're just gonna get the instant pudding out of the fridge. As you can see, the texture of this went from very liquid to now very custardy. See that? To bring a little bit more air to the mix, we're going to incorporate our beautifully whipped cream and just fold it in. This lightens the texture of the custard and makes it quite delicate and dainty without knocking too much air out of the cream. You're basically doing an H-shape motion. How beautiful does that look? And now it's time to put them together. We're gonna start with half of our pudding mixture. Just dollop it right there. Beautiful. I'm just gonna spread this in a nice even layer, just making sure it reaches the corners, just like that. Next, we're gonna have a layer of vanilla wafers. I'm just looking to cover the surface of the pudding layer. They're there to absorb the juices from the peaches, and it also gives it a little bit more structure. So the whole thing is not just whipped cream, which I wouldn't be against that either. Look at all those juices that the peaches have released in the bowl. I'm just looking to do a light drizzle over the vanilla wafers. And with a slotted spoon, because you want to control the amount of liquid, we're just gonna scoop the peaches and dollop half of them in there. I wish you could smell these. The smell of the cardamom and orange blossom water is so nice. And I'm not really looking for perfectly crisp, even layers. I'm just looking to make sure every bite gets a peach on it. And you can even out the layer by pressing some of the peaches down. And now one more layer of everything. Just enough to have some peaches poking through. You'll see that you have a little bit of this leftover peach juice. Please don't throw it away. You could add it with like a splash of lime juice and some seltzer, and you're gonna make a very refreshing drink. We're gonna cover this and chill it for at least 3 hours. All I'm looking for here is for the vanilla wafers to soften a little bit and for those flavors to really get to know each other. And now one more layer, and we're just gonna make some whipped cream. You've seen this before. You could do this a little bit in advance, but the cream will start losing some air in the fridge. So it's best you do this right before serving. We're at nice stiff peaks here, and all there's left to do is we need to add the cardamom, a little bit of salt, and some honey to sweeten it all up. The gentle but firm stir. Just enough to incorporate all those ingredients. Man, that cardamom just smells so good. I like to give my guests just a tease of what's on the inside. I reserved the small peaches for this so we could cut them into nice little wedges. Our pudding has been in the fridge for about 3 hours now, and there it is. All there's left to do is dollop the whipped cream on top. Beautiful, and I just like to go with the back of the spoon and just push it where I need it to be. Do a little swirl here and there. You can leave some of the peaches exposed. You can cover the whole thing. There it is. I am happy with that. Look at our beautiful honey peaches and cream pudding. There's just something so special about just a scoopable dessert that is cold and is just simple. Look at that. I'm so excited to dig in. Oh yeah, it's everything I want on a hot summer day. We have the crisp, but some of them are soaked, vanilla wafers. We have the fluffy whipped cream and that beautiful custardy pudding. The cardamom in there does so much work. Perfect amount of salt in there, not to mention the glossy peaches. When you bring these things together, the result is so much more than the sum of its parts. It's such a light bite that just makes you want to go in for more. Don't forget you can get this full recipe on the NYT Cooking app and website, and I really hope you love it.